Hello, welcome to our presentation. I'm Jasmine and my group consists of Felicia, Juho and Wei Ming. Our topic today is about the disruption in the Singapore taxi industry, and the scope of our presentation will be as follows. With over 95% of the population having a smartphone, phone applications becomes the fastest point of contact for our business. Internet bridges consumers and service providers, erasing the need for physical presence. For example, car owners can make use of the ride-hailing application to earn additional cash. This would not have been possible if majority of the population does not have access to internet. The new mentality of millennials also play an important factor for this disruption. Living the age of internet, millennials are exposed to technology since young, which create a more adaptable personality. Trying out the latest application becomes the in thing, and the leaves transport application with no exceptions. Before the implementation of PDVL, lax regulations supported the growth of ride-hailing applications, and drivers who come from all walks of life and barriers to entry was almost non-existent. Now I'll pass my time to Felicia to talk about the benefits and downside of the disruption.
Thank you, Jasmine. So the benefits of the disruption brought convenience to users as hailing for a ride has moved to the ease of booking on the application. It shortens the ideal time as the GPS in the application will be able to accurately identify the pickup point of the rider. It also allows a two-way communication between riders and users for any special requests. On top of convenience, it is cheaper and there's no surcharge during the peak hours. The prices of the fare is predetermined upon hailing for the ride as dynamic pricing model is being used. So for our report, we have identified different winners and losers before Grab and Uber merge. So pre-merger winners are users as there's promotional codes available since Grab and Uber are trying to increase their market share. So for the post-merger winners are Grab and traditional taxi as the point-to-point transport industry turned into a near monopoly situation. With lesser competition in the market, the prices are increasing. So as for the downside of the disruption, with more public hire drivers, it is increasing the congestions on the road, especially during the peak hours. For the pre-merger losers, it is the traditional taxi drivers as they are not familiar with the use of technology. They will have to learn and adapt to the changes, if not they will always be at the losing end. As for the post-merger losers, they are the users as there's reduced promotional codes and the prices are increasing. Next, I'll pass on to Juho.
Thank you, Felicia. So now I'll be talking about the similarities and differences of different countries. First of all, the disruption of taxi industry did not only affect Singapore, but many other countries. In both Vietnam and Singapore, both Marlin and ComfortDelGro lost about 6,000 and 3,000 drivers respectively. This loss of drivers has resulted in a decrease in their revenue for both companies. Besides the suffering of companies, taxi drivers were unhappy as there was a lot of job opportunities due to increase in private hires. Moreover, the unfair treatment between the private hires and the taxi drivers further sparks more unhappiness in the drivers. This is where the difference comes about. In Singapore, despite being unhappy, the drivers were adapting to the change and pick up Grab and Uber, which improved their job opportunities. However, in countries such as France, England, and Indonesia, there were protests and riots. These are some of the pictures from countries mentioned previously. Due to the unhappiness from citizens, necessary actions were taken by individual governments. In Singapore and Indonesia, new regulation was implemented to ease the unfairness. For instance, the implementation of PDVL in Singapore for private hires. However, for France and England, Uber was being banned to operate in the country. Next. In terms of the public policy perspective on Singapore government reaction, the government should encourage enterprises to be more innovative. Companies should be able to fill in opportunity gaps instead of leaving jobs for others. Also, there should not be policies that deter foreign technology advancement as it will reduce the business competitiveness in Singapore. Lastly, the government can work with Uber and Grab to leverage on their expertise. For instance, the usage of their reservoir of data to implement bus services to ease traffic flows. Now I'll pass on the time to Wei Ming.
Alright, thank you, Juho. So, knowing of how our government reacts, let's compare how others tackle these changes. The Australian government took an open approach and offers financial rebates to the taxi drivers to help them tide through the period as their earnings takes a cut. French deterred and resist against the change, imposing bans to Uber drivers. Due to the strong labour union, this creates social insecurity, with riot by taxi drivers to pressurize the government even further. All in all, governments reacted differently but all show signs of resistance. Some identified the need for the change while others took longer, but eventually accepting the change. After the merger, many new companies such as Ryde, Jagnu, Gojek emerges as they all look to seek for their share of the pie. They deployed similar strategies, low commission for drivers and discount for riders. But it all boils down to convenience, something that Grab seems to have perfected with their developed infrastructures and enormous driver base. The two biggest takeoff that we have is actually embracing change and continuous improvement. For companies, stagnation is regression. And companies that do not adapt to changes often find themselves crippled, as other companies make use of more effective ways to make money. For example, word-of-mouth advertising, one of the slowest in the past but now became popular when partnered with social media. Individuals must also be aware of their surroundings, preempting possible changes that could affect them. For example, drivers from Uber are now forced to adapt to Grab's regulation and culture. Opportunities are hidden within, and we as individuals should leverage on it and benefit from it. With that, we felt that technological advancement is overall beneficial to the society, as the benefit of convenience heavily outweigh the cost brought about. With that, thank you.